Hello friends, thank you for joining me again today. My name's Dan and this is Daily Out Adventure number 658. Woohoo! I don't know what's so woohoo-ish about 658, but there we go. Any excuse for a good woohoo. This is a painting I've been working on for about 3 days and I'm 90% finished. This is part of my new direction of having all these abstract things show through in the final painting. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm about to do, and this is going to be a short broadcast, I need to take off here in about 35 minutes. I'm going to do glaze over the whole thing. Any colors I want. You know the drill, you regulars. Put your hand on your chin, either one, doesn't matter which hand. And you say, I like it pretty much. I watched a video last night by Mark Carder with a D, who I mention often. He has a broadcast called, a video called the top 6 reasons why artists fail. And his number one, the last one he listed, number 1, was what we call the artist curse. And that's basically what I'm addressing when I say that you must say, you must put your chin on your hand. It doesn't matter if you have a beard or not. Helps, but it's not required. And you look at your painting and you nod, you say, I like it pretty much. That's what some of you are going to choke on those words, and you need to start an intentional, I'm as serious as I can be. When I'm in an art class, all of my students absolutely must say this. And you wouldn't believe how they choke and gag and sputter and spew and can hardly get the words out of their mouth. That is a sign of that you're a human being. But one of the things that afflicts human beings the most is this horrible self-effacing, self-loathing, self-despising thing that most people struggle with. But you need to get over that. And the way to get over it is to stop acting, to stop saying those words. Okay, I didn't mean to get in this deep, but here we are. Here's the way it works, folks. I don't know if you know this about humanity. You cannot control the way you feel. Write this down. You cannot control your emotions. All you can do is control the things that trigger your emotions. So you can control what comes out of your mouth. You can force yourself to say positive words, and you can keep yourself from saying negative words. You can't feel like saying positive words. No. The action, the words come first, the feelings follow. All right, so you say, I like it pretty much, but I wish it was more blank, and the blank, not more better, no. The blank is a color or a tone. I like this, so I'm doing it. I like it pretty much. The blue is a little too blue, so I want to, up here, I want to darken the blue and warm it up. So I'm going to do warm on top of that. I'm going to darken vignette this corner and probably this corner a little bit. Not the bottom one down there, which you guys can't see at the moment. Okay, not that one. I think I'm going to let that stay fade to light instead of fade to dark. And I'm not sure about this corner. We'll see. This, generally speaking, let me just give you a general, what usually happens for me in this late stage glazing is when I'm finished, the contrast is bumped. That is, it's more contrasty. So if right now my painting goes from a 1, there's no 0. A 0 is white, with little specks of white, like the headlight, but that doesn't count. That's a speck. That's not an area. So it goes from a 2, actually, more believably here, and here. Goes from a 2 to about a 9. There's no number 10 on here. The 10 is black, coal black. There's nothing that here, but this is the number 9. There's quite a bit of number 9. So when I'm finished this glaze, more of the painting will be either darker or lighter. I'm going to spread out. All right, enough talking. Let's start painting. And I'm picking up some oxide red. I'm going to start with that sky. Oxide red and ultramarine. Did you catch that? So brown and blue, both, on my brushes. And I'm going all the way up to the top here. Now, everything on here, even though I finished this painting just yesterday afternoon, everything on the canvas is dry. And I am using liquid. Sometimes when I do this late stage glaze, I'll use either a slow dry, like Neo McGilt, or walnut alkyd oil. Alkyd walnut. Alkyd means fast dry, but walnut means slow dry. So walnut alkyd means medium slow dry. Okay, but today I'm using pure liquid because I'm pretty confident that all the paint that I put on the canvas in the last 2 days has had at least a little bit of liquid in it. So everything is thoroughly dry. Forget you all. Completely eradicate from your vocabulary the old-fashioned phrase. Listen, this is old. If you are living right now in the middle of the 20th century, then yes, you must follow this advice, fat over liquid. But guess what? You're not living like my daddy did in the middle of the 20th century. That was nearly 70 years ago. Fat over lean is old-fashioned language because back in the day, fat meant more linseed oil. Now, I'm sure there was somebody somewhere, I mean, I know there were actually, but that's another matter. I don't want to get into it. For all you ordinary painters, linseed oil was the medium of choice, and when you added linseed oil to your paint, that meant your paint was getting fatter, more oil, more slow dry. Okay, so, and it really dismays me when I hear people spouting that old-fashioned thing, fat over lean. That only applies basically if you're using linseed oil. So if you're using linseed oil, first of all, God help your crusty, rusty little soul, because you're painting like your granddaddy, and you should stop that. You should go to an art supply store and say, what do you guys recommend mixing with your paints? I'm being a little bit harsh here, you understand. I never use linseed oil and never will, other than what's already in my paints if they are based on linseed oil. And I love the smell of linseed oil. It's a very unfortunate thing. But okay, fat over lean, what it really means is make sure that the stuff underneath dries fast and the stuff on top dries slow. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. That's what it means. It's slow dry over fast dry is the proper expression, the formula they're looking for. So take that old one, fat over lean, throw it, give it a decent burial, have a little funeral service, and bury the thing and never dig it up. All right, there you go. All right, now there's something I forgot to do. I was going to do it and I got distracted myself. Usually before I do one of these oil glazes, I do some more oil stick, basically just sort of reinforcing some of these abstract marks. And I think you understand, because these are oil, as I brush oil on, that is to say liquid, as I brush liquid on top of these markers, they get smooshed out, they get blended out, right? All right, there, that's done now. Let me come over here. I hope I have enough time to finish. I'm mixing up right now dioxazine violet to go on top of this building. I'm going to take a rag. By the way, so after every oil glaze, the very next step is wiping off some of the glaze with a rag. So that's coming next, but that's next. That's not right now. So I've just darkened this side of this building and toned it down a little bit. Like it's pretty orange, right? Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can see that that's quite orange. In fact, so I just did purple on it, which toned it down a little bit, but not enough. Believe it or not, I'm going to pick up a little phthalo blue to counteract the orange. There we go. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So that's a good example of, you put your chin on your hand and you say, yeah, I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more. So in the case of this building, for instance, it was too orange, right? So I just anti-oranged it, which means I like it pretty much. Talking about just this building, I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more blue. Why blue? Because that's anti-orange, okay? So you could say, I wish it was less orange. That's okay. You're allowed to speak it in the negative if you prefer. And then just intellectually, academically, of course, you understand, mentally you understand that anti-orange is blue. I mean, the strongest is, but purple is a mild anti-orange, if you will. So that's what I mean by that. You put your hand on your chin, you say, I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more blank. And I didn't say this earlier, but yes, you may say, I wish it was less. And as long as the less is a color, or that the blank at the end of that sentence is a color or colors, okay? You can't, it's not a value. You can't say, I wish it was darker or lighter, because you're doing a glaze. It is going to get darker. You can't say, I wish it was lighter. That's not what you do at this stage. So you get lighter with opaque or translucent stuff. You get darker with transparent. A glaze, of course, is always transparent. All right. By the way, Susan, thank you so much for your $20 tip on PayPal. I have set up a link. Unfortunately, you can't access it easily on your phone. So those of you who are watching me on your phone, but if you're on a computer, right there on the top, right up there on the banner across the top of my page now, it says click here, or no, it says PayPal. I forget what it says, but there's an arrow and it says, it's quite obvious. If you click there, you can send me a little encouragement, and that would be sweet. By no means required, but by all means appreciated. I'm going to continue darkening this building, which means, yes, some purple, dioxazine violet for you OCD people, and some raw umber, my color killer. I was teaching a class one time, and we were discussing that old myth, don't use black, which, by the way, I spouted off obediently for decades, just like my professors taught me, don't use black, till I realized that was foolish. Of course, you should use black. That's like saying don't use pink, don't use yellow, don't use red, don't use green, don't use blue. The reason the professors said don't use black was because black kills color, and generally speaking, human beings would rather see yes color than no color. I said that exact thing yesterday. Okay, so generally speaking, human beings, given the choice, all things being equal, of course they never are, but anyway, all things being equal, human beings would rather see more color, not less. So therefore, generally speaking, you don't want to use black. But that's generally speaking. Specifically, particularly speaking, oh, absolutely, you should use black, understanding that black kills color. And I was teaching this one time in a class, a live class, and I said, and some colors need killing. One of my students said, which ones? No, Purple, y'all. You ever see a purple, shoot it. Chartreuse. Chartreuse needs killing. No, 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 that's not what I meant. What I meant was in any given painting, sometimes there is a color in the painting that needs, in this particular painting, in any given particular painting, a color that needs killing. All right, so as long as you understand that. Sometimes some colors need to be killed. Which ones? Mauve. Nobody knows how to say it. That one needs to be killed for sure. I've got very, very dirty brushes here, so and I don't want to waste time and stuff cleaning them, so I'm just going to finish doing the dark stuff in this painting, and then I will switch brushes because I need to do some yellow, orange, and blue. So in fact, so that'll be 2 different sets of brushes. As I slept on this painting, so to speak, they're bubbled up some things that I'm not crazy about. For some reason, as early up here in the sky, when I was doing the abstract, painting the blue sky around the underneath, I got too tight, and I feel like that impulse then colored the entire painting. The whole painting just a little bit too tight, and that's irritating. You know, when you see something like that, it's like, oh man, how did I let that happen again? I know better. You know, it's the way you feel. But do not despair. I tell myself, the painting is not done. And I plan to do some late loosening. Now, yesterday you were with me. I called this late loosening. I called it John Singer Sargenting your painting. That's because of the way this concept came to me some years ago when I was doing portraiture. And when I do portraits from photographs, I am notoriously too tight. I mean, ridiculously too tight. And I'm not even talking about my wedding. That's a different story because those portraits are only that big. I don't know how to do those without being tight. Anyway, I'm talking about normal size. You know, life size or 3/4 size portraits. I was too tight. But I learned this trick. And then I learned that other people had also learned this trick. That you can come back and John Singer Sargentize after the portrait is done, so to speak. You can come back and make it looser. That is very strange. I've got a monitor, ear monitor, that says the battery is low, and I just put it in. Okay, I think I'm done with my dirty brushes. I'll save those for later. Let's go to something slightly smaller. I would like some 3-inch brushes, but I don't see any. Pardon me just a moment. This lady's talking. Oh, and he left the door open of the house. All that nice air conditioning coming up to my hot garage. All right, now I think I'm going to go to blue here. I was saying something, I forget. Oh, John Singer Sargentizing. That means adding looseness to a painting late in the process. It can be done. It's legal. It's not ideal. You know, I feel like if I was really John Singer Sargent, I would be loose from the get-go. But guess what? I ain't him. Surprise, surprise. I know, that's real shock and dismay to some of you. Yuck, yuck. So until I'm as good as John Singer Sargent, the old fake it till you make it comes to mind. So what I plan to do with this painting is add some more energetic brush strokes. Again, not ideal. I'd rather have it, you know, energetic from the guts outward. But I don't. So next best solution is add some looseness after the fact. So that's what I plan to do. I don't know where. That's not my problem at the moment. All right, I'm done with the blue brushes, at least for now. And pick up some more clean brushes and put out more liquid. I think I mentioned I'm doing all of this glazing with liquid. And now, warm. My go-to warm for sure, without any question, is Indian yellow. By the way, that cough right there, that was a reaction to liquid. Even though I've got two, count them, 1, 2 oscillating fans from standing in a garage, I just got a big whiff of, that's in case David, my buddy David, is watching. Yeah. that was a, there's no question, that was I'm pulling hair off. I don't worry terribly much about hairs on my paintings. It just shows that my paintings were done by a human being with real brushes. It's just all part of, if there's one that bothers me, I pull it off, but most of the time it doesn't, so I just leave it there. I need to clean these brushes and get some, because it picked up some blue, and I want the yellow I'm doing right now, I want it to be quite clean. So more Indian yellow. Now this part of the sky down here I want to be lighter, brighter than it is right now, but I'm not going to use a rag and wipe it off because that will take off the yellow that I just put down. So I'm going to have to get that part of the painting, make it lighter by painting. Hey, Uncle 60, there's other chats, but what are those two high floor yellowish white marks on the red brick building on the left? Oh, right here? This is a sculpture. There's one there and one there. I'm not sure that's what you mean. Otherwise, of course, those are all abstract things. I think this is probably what you mean. Is that it? Two floor high. Oh. Maybe it's down here. That's more than 2 floors, isn't it? There is an arch. Yeah, there's an big arch doorway in this building on this. That's what that curve is. All right, I'm going to keep painting. Sorry, I'll try to answer that question better later. All right, now I'm doing, right now, just more straight Indian yellow. Some of this I might wipe off. Generally speaking, yes. Generally speaking, I do cover every inch of the painting, generally, with a glaze. Why? Because, say it with me, because there ain't a color made that don't look better with something else on top of it. Like that right there, that just got slightly richer, and I don't know if you could see that on the video or not, but it still surprises me sometimes, like, wow, that looks so much better. And by the way, this whole part of the reason I'm doing this broadcast, because I could skip this completely and say, all right, while you guys weren't watching, I glazed the whole painting, right? I could say that, but I find that among painters, the magic of glazing is one of the most underutilized tricks of painting. And when I see, when I see student painters, they put their paintings up in front of me at our painters group, or I go to the state fair, so to speak, or I go to an amateur painting show. About 90% of the paintings I look at say, yep, that could be helped with a glaze. Yep, that could be helped with a glaze. Yep, that could be helped with a glaze. So it's part of the reason I'm doing this in front of you, so to speak, is because maybe most of you, I don't want to, that sounds a little demeaning, you know what I mean? I don't want to sound like a big shot, but most of you still need to learn the magic of transparent glazes. That the whole painting looks better. Just right there. More intense color, darker at the top. I'm far from finished. It'll be lighter down here. Like as I said, this building is darker. This building is darker. They get pushed back a little bit. Therefore, our eye comes down to where, of course, where I want it to come down to. So I am quite happy. Let me tell you what I'm going to do, and I've got a break here. That's why I've got a meeting with a dear friend here need to leave in about 10 minutes. Woohoo! When I get back, in case you don't catch it, let me tell you where I'm going from here. After glazing, and this is pretty standard, fairly standard for me operation, after glazing, I then do dark details in oil. And that might sound like, well, you just made the whole painting darker. Do you need to make it even darker still? The answer is yep. And usually I do. Why? Because at the end of that stage, that phase, the next one I'm talking about, which is dark details in oil, at the end of that phase, the painting needs to have adequate darks, sufficient darks. Given the choice, our eyes would rather see yes value than no value. So I'm saying the same strange, tortured syntax that I use when I'm talking about color. Given the choice, our eyes would rather see yes color than no color. And what that means is more than less. I just like to say it in a weird way. It's a mnemonic device. Likewise, given the choice, all things being equal, which of course many times they are not, our eyes would rather see a full range of values in a painting. And this is my opinion. There are people who differ with me. They're wrong. Someday maybe, when I'm as good as they are, I will change my mind. But that isn't this day, because at the moment, I think they're wrong. In other words, there's some people that do landscapes, and they say something like, in nature, you never see a 0 or a 10, for instance. And in a way, I can see their point, and yet in a painting, though, and by the way, the people that agree with me are generally speaking. I was looking this morning at some George Innes, and I'm butchering his name because I'm American and he's French, so I don't know how it's pronounced in French. But anyway, some of his landscapes, spectacular, just breathtaking, and full range of values. If it's not 10 to 0, it's pretty darn close. So anyway, at the end of this next phase, I need to have sufficient darks. Now, I already have sufficient darks here and up there, but I need to be looking elsewhere and say, is there any part of my painting that's going a little pale when it ought to be boom? By the way, my darks, part of the reason I like my technique of painting so well is that my dark areas are full of energy. Very, very different from the traditional, because I paint in layers of transparent color. my darks is one of the things I could say I like best about my paintings is my dark zones, dark areas are full of energy. And I know you probably can't even see it on video. Okay, now I'm lifting off. I'm going to go all the way up to the top here for a minute. Can you see the top? No. Okay, I guess I'll move you. Okay, so bear with me. There's a little bit unusual. There's a strip of sky up here above this building. And usually, you don't want to draw that much attention to the very corner of a painting. Usually. The rule, if you will, the rule would be, you know, let the corners fade to softness and darker light, you know, fade out. This is quite unusual. And I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. So what I've just done is I've added, but now what I'm doing is wiping out the windows. But I've added just quite a bit of energy right up there. And my feeling is, and again, my feeling might be wrong, but I don't think it is. My feeling is that the wall of this building is so big and so, even though it's got blue and orange in it, you know, brown, dirty blue and dirty brown, when you squint, the windows are almost the same value as so it's a very large, fairly flat area is what I'm trying to say. And I feel like with just that little pop of energy, boop, right there, puts just enough energy in that upper left corner. Now, let me stand back and look at that and see if I agree from a distance, see if I still feel that way. I don't know, to tell you the truth. I could go either way. I'm going to leave it for now and continue to think about it. All right, now I'm going to lift off, and I can lift off with a finger, you know, stuck through my rag. I can lift off, or here I'm using my knuckle actually, the knuckle of my index finger to lift. That looks nice there. All right, now do I want to lighten any of these abstract marks? Yeah, a little bit, just a little bit. I am not completely happy with the way this sky transitions up here. I'm just going to smooth it out a bit. So I was saying a while ago, I like the way, one of the things I like most about my technique is that my darks are full of energy because they are rendered they're rendered in layers of color. So there's a lot of dynamic things happening. You look closely, you see layers and layers and layers of stuff. You see orange, purple, green, really blue-green. You know, what at a glance looks almost black. When you look at it closely, there's all these orange, purple, green passages. Those in this case, those three colors in particular. All right, I'm going to wipe off the front edge, the sun edge of this building. Now, I don't know if you can see that. That's a great example of what I mean by pushed contrast. Putting a glaze on, that is, the whole painting got darker because I just put a glaze over the entire painting. And then real gently here, I'm taking off some of that glaze that I just created. And thereby creating greater contrast. Does that make sense? It's so fun because it's so little effort, Great effect for such little effort. Ah, that's sweet. Same thing here now. Let's make this building pop out, even though it's already popping. Given the choice, I'll use different language. Given the choice, our eyes would rather see more pop, not less. Given the choice. Now, or I should say, all things being equal, which of course, there can be many mitigating factors in this principle. But generally speaking, our eyes would rather see more pop, not less. And that's coming, again, as I was saying yesterday, this is coming from a person, me, who actually very much likes moody, tonal, even gloomy, subtle paintings. I do. I really do. And in fact, I think it's possible that in my career I have erred too much on the side of, gloomy paintings, which I love, but I'm not sure other people love them quite as well as I do, quite as much as I do. Okay, again, just some little highlights. Oh, that is so nice. That's me. That is the sound of my authentic self going, dang, how did that happen? This painting just got so much better. I am truly, I know this in my head, and yet I'm still, as you can hear, I'm truly astounded by the improvement that 30 minutes, whatever it was, just made on this painting. My goodness. Okay, you guys need to learn how to glaze. I guess take that. If you don't take anything else, take that. You need to learn this magic of glazing. If not, you're painting with one hand tied behind your back. This is one of the richest tools in the painter's quiver, toolbox. One of the sharpest arrows in the painter's quiver. There we go. And so it's time for me to run. When I come back, it'll be dark details in oil. I don't know where. I'll think about that when I get back. Just anything that needs darker. And then finally, light, opaque highlights, or final edit one more time. Much quicker than the last. The last final edit took me 2.5 hours. This one will take me 1 hour, say, roughly speaking. I'm certainly going to lighten this sky. And the color is better now than it was. All right, let me look at your chats before I go. And thank you so much. Uncle, your painting is a little dark. Can I glaze a light colors on top or just paint? No, what you want to do is scumble. You can't get a painting lighter by glazing. Glaze means dark, transparent. Scumble, but as you know, so use opaque paint, I mean some white in it usually, and you lift up to the value, the lightness that you want. Then you have to come back with real paint, because scumbling is not a pleasant final texture, as you know. And then you come back with real paint, which means thicker paint, brush stroke paint. You pick it up, put it on, and you're done. That's real painting. Scumbling is, so to speak, not real painting. All right, so that's how you get lighter. Anti-orange, yeah, anti-government, anti-William of Orange for sure. Can you get rid of the super chat button and replace with PayPal button? Yeah, boy, Susan, I know. I'm so, Susan, thanks for letting us know. I'll look into that. I will look into that. I just finished the PayPal button, and I'm not completely happy with how it's hard to access on a phone. So let me continue to see what I can do. Hello, Tal. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that encouragement. Hey, Susan. Thank you, my dear. Susan bought me not only a cup of coffee, but a decent lunch out if I'm by myself, or if my wife and I are together, a good lunch at Chick-fil-A. 20 bucks. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. Hello, Michael. Hi and bye. I understand. You guys and all crazy. I'm in the crazy time zone. I realize that out here in the nether regions of America. All right, got to run. Thanks for watching. Be back.